The sky over Vega Prime was calm that morning. The twin suns rose slowly, painting the desert with gold and red light. The human colony was just waking up. Children ran between the houses, traders opened their stalls, and guards stood at their posts. It felt like a normal day, until the alarm sirens began to scream. Captain Raynor was in the command tower when the first warning came. The radar officer shouted, "Unidentified ship entering orbit." Raynor stepped forward, his boots heavy on the metal floor. "How big?" he asked. The officer's face was pale. "Big, sir, it's bigger than anything we've seen." On the screen, the alien ship appeared, a massive shape, drifting slowly through space. Its surface was covered in strange glowing lines. Like scars from another world, the ship sent no signal. No call for help, nothing. It simply floated there, like a ghost. The colony held its breath. Raynor's mind raced. Was it a threat? A trap? He opened a channel to the defense fleet. "Prepare boarding teams." "I'm going in," he said, within minutes. A small human shuttle launched from the colony and headed towards the silent giant. Inside the alien ship, it was dark and cold. The walls were covered with strange symbols. Some of them pulsed faintly. With blue light, the air smelled of dust and metal. Raynor and his team moved carefully, their weapons ready. Every sound, the creak of the floor, the hiss of air vents, made them tense. They followed a dim light deeper inside. Then they heard it, a weak voice, speaking in broken English. "Help, please." The team found a small chamber. Two alien women were sitting on the floor, leaning against each other. One was older, her skin a pale silver with faint lines under her eyes. The other was younger, her skin a softer shade, her eyes wide with fear. They wore long robes made of strange shimmering cloth. Both looked tired, as if they had been traveling for months without rest. Raynor knelt down. "We're human soldiers." "You're safe now," he said. The older woman shook her head slowly. Her voice was low but clear. "No. No one is safe." Raynor noticed something then. Both women were pregnant. It was obvious even under their robes. The younger one clutched her stomach protectively. The older one placed a hand over hers, as if sharing the same pain. Raynor asked, "Who hurt you? Who sent you here?" The older woman looked into his eyes. There was something deep in her gaze, fear, but also a strange determination. "We came here because we have no place left to run," she whispered. Raynor leaned closer. The woman's next words froze him where he stood. "We both carry the same man's child." The room went silent. Even Raynor's soldiers stopped moving, he thought. He had misheard. "The same man?" he repeated. The younger woman nodded slowly. Her voice was shaky. "He is human. His name is Cade." Raynor felt his chest tighten. He knew that name. Cade was a traitor, a man who had vanished 2 years ago on a deep space route. No one had seen him since. What was he doing with these women? And why did they speak as if it was important? The older woman closed her eyes. "If Cade dies, the galaxy burns," she said. Her words carried weight. Like a prophecy, Raynor wanted to ask more, but the ship shook suddenly. Dust fell from the ceiling, lights flickered. The pilot's voice came through Raynor's com. "Captain, we've got movement outside." "Another ship just appeared." Raynor signaled his team. "Move. Get them to the shuttle." The soldiers helped the alien women stand. They were weak, but they moved quickly. The younger one kept looking over her shoulder, as if expecting something to follow. As they hurried through the alien ship's dark corridors, Raynor couldn't stop thinking about the strange warning. If Cade dies, the galaxy burns. He didn't understand it yet, but he could feel it. This was the beginning of something much bigger than he had imagined. When they reached the shuttle, Raynor gave the order to detach. Through the window, he saw the massive alien ship drifting behind them, and then he saw it, a smaller vessel sliding out of the shadows. Its shape twisted and unnatural. It was heading straight for them. Raynor tightened his grip on his rifle. He didn't know who the enemy was, But he knew one thing. They wanted the women, and they were ready to kill for them, the shuttles. Engines roared, pulling away from the danger. The colony's defense fleet moved to intercept. Inside the shuttle, the alien women sat close together. The older one whispered something in her own language, and the younger one nodded. Raynor watched them. He had a feeling their story was going to change everything. And he wasn't sure if humanity was ready. The man they speak of the shuttle. Touched down inside the colony hangar. Steam hissed from the landing gear, and the metallic scent of coolant filled the air. Captain Raynor stepped out first. Scanning the bay for threats, the colony guards rushed forward. But they stopped when they saw the passengers. 2 alien women, both visibly pregnant, both with eyes that carried entire storms inside them. The medics hurried over with scanners and stretchers. The older woman, Soraya, refused to lie down. She stood tall, even though her body looked weak. The younger one, Lyra, stayed close to her side. Holding Soraya's arm, Raynor noticed it again, that strange bond. As if they shared more than blood. In the med bay, bright lights hummed overhead. The walls were white, but the air felt heavy with questions. The colony doctor began his scans, his brow furrowing almost immediately. "Captain," he whispered, "this is unusual." The readings showed the unborn children's DNA part human, part alien, and a third strand of something the doctor had never seen. Raynor stepped to the side of the bed. "Tell me about Cade," he said. The name seemed to pull something from both women. Lyra's lips tightened. Soraya's eyes softened, almost sadly. Soraya spoke first, her voice calm but layered with pain. "Cade saved us," she said. "On our world, the sky burned with war. The machines came from the void, hunting the heirs." Raynor's mind caught on the word, heirs, the children, Soraya continued, touching her stomach. "They are not just ours. They are the bridge between 2 empires." Raynor leaned forward. "Why would Cade be involved in this?" Lyra's voice broke in, younger, sharper, more desperate. "Because he is their father, and because the machines will kill him if they find him." Raynor felt the room close in. Cade had been a smuggler, a man who could talk his way out of any danger. But this was different. If the enemy wanted him dead, it wasn't for money. It was for something far greater. The doctor interrupted. "Captain, the fetal heart rates are spiking. They're reacting to something." An alarm sounded in the med bay. The defense control tower's voice boomed over the comms. "Enemy ships sighted at the edge of the system. Unknown design. Moving fast." Soraya grabbed Raynor's wrist, her grip like steel despite her frail look. "You must find him," she said. "If Cade dies, not only we perish, your people will too." Raynor stared at her. For the first time he saw no fear in her eyes, only certainty. Outside, the colony's sirens began to howl again. Somewhere out there, in the cold black of space, Cade was alive, and the galaxy was already moving to take him. The hidden truth: the enemy ship never fired. It simply hovered at the edge of Vega Prime's orbit. Its black hull shimmered like oil and water, bending the starlight. It was watching, waiting, and that was almost worse than an attack in the med bay. Captain Raynor paced while the colony's security teams worked outside. Every few seconds, his eyes flicked to Soraya and Lyra. The doctor's scans showed something stranger than anything he had seen before. Inside both women, the unborn children's DNA was shifting, changing shape, rewriting itself in real time. The doctor whispered, "It's like they're preparing for something." Raynor's jaw tightened. "Preparing for what?" Lyra answered, not looking at him. "For the war they were born into." Raynor froze. Lyra's voice was low, almost trembling, but each word felt sharp. "Our people called them the heirs. They will one day lead both human and alien worlds." She turned to him then, eyes wide and unblinking. "But the machines, the ones you saw outside, they fear the heirs. They believe if the children are born, their reign will end." Raynor thought back to the strange enemy ship waiting above. "So they're here to kill you," he said. Soraya shook her head slowly. Not just us, she replied. If they fail here, they will burn your colony to the ground. They will erase every human. Just to be sure. A cold silence filled the room. Then the lights flickered, just like they had on the alien ship. The intercom crackled with static, and a distorted voice came through. It wasn't human. It was deep, metallic, almost like grinding stone. Surrender the heirs, and Vega Prime will be spared. Lyra clutched Soraya's hand, her knuckles white. Raynor looked at the ceiling as if he could see the thing speaking. That's not happening, he said, his voice steady, but in his gut. He knew the machines wouldn't leave without blood. Soraya leaned closer, speaking only to Raynor now. Cade has the key, she whispered. Without him we cannot stop them, Raynor frowned. What kind of key? Her answer sent a chill through him. Not an object, a choice. One only he can make. Before Raynor could ask more, the security chief's voice broke in over comms. Captain, the enemy ship is launching something. Small crafts. They're coming straight for us. The medbay doors hissed open as soldiers rushed in. Weapons ready. The colony sirens wailed again. Raynor grabbed his rifle. We're moving you both to the deep shelter, he told the women. But Soraya caught his arm, her voice urgent. No shelter will keep us safe. Find Cade. Every second you wait. They get closer. The colony walls shook. It wasn't a full explosion, but the kind that made your bones feel the vibration. Dust fell from the med bay ceiling, and the lights flickered twice before stabilizing. Somewhere above, the sound of metal grinding against metal echoed like a monster breathing. Captain Raynor stepped into the corridor, through the narrow viewing slit. He saw them. The enemy crafts had latched onto the colony's docking ring. They were unlike any ships he had seen before. No clear engines, no windows, just dark. Insect-like shapes crawling with faint red lights. They looked alive, but wrong. The comms officer's voice cracked over the channel. Captain, they're boarding. Multiple breach points. They're not using doors. They're cutting through the walls. Raynor's team moved fast. Boots pounding the metal floor. Soldiers took positions near the med bay while engineers tried to seal the corridors. But then came the sound. A sharp tearing screech, followed by the hiss of air escaping. The first breach, from the hole stepped something tall and thin. Its body was smooth black metal, but its movements were too fluid for a machine. Its face, if it could be called that, was a mask with no mouth, only two glowing red eyes. It tilted its head slowly, scanning the corridor when it spoke. Its voice was the same grinding sound they had heard earlier. Where are the heirs? Raynor raised his rifle. You're not taking them, he said. The machine tilted its head the other way. You cannot protect them. You cannot even protect yourselves. The first shot rang out. A soldier's bullet hit the machine square in the chest. The metal rippled like water, absorbing the impact. The machine didn't even flinch. It stepped forward, one slow, deliberate movement at a time, behind Raynor. Soraya and Lyra were being rushed down the side corridor by two guards. The older woman's steps were heavy, but her eyes never left the shadows. Lyra kept looking back over her shoulder, her lips pressed tight in fear. The second breach happened near the hangar. This time, 3 machines poured through. They moved faster, like shadows twisting along the walls. Their hands ended in long, blade-like claws that hissed as they cut the air. The colony's defense alarms blared in full now. Red lights flashed across the corridors, bathing everything in a hellish glow. Raynor barked into his cum. Seal Section 3. Route evac teams to the underground rail. And someone get me a clear channel to the fleet. But the fleet was already busy, fighting the main enemy ship above. The comms were crackling with static, broken messages and panicked voices. One of the machines lunged forward. Raynor's team opened fire, the corridor filling with the deafening roar of rifles. Sparks burst as bullets struck. One machine fell, but even as it lay on the floor, its body began to knit itself back together. Raynor cursed it under his breath. They don't stop. One soldier gasped. Raynor fired a shot straight into the creature's glowing eye. This time it went still, smoke rising from the wound. "Aim for the eyes," he shouted. In the chaos, Soraya's voice carried over the noise. "They won't stop until Kate is here," she said calmly, almost like she had accepted it. Lyra shook her head fiercely. "Then we can't let them find him." Another blast tore through the far wall. Raynor could see the hangar now, or what was left of it. Two of the enemy boarding crafts had cracked open like eggs. Dozens more machines were pouring out, their movements in perfect, terrifying silence. "We're losing this level." The security chief's voice came through. "We need to fall back to the command sector now." Raynor's mind raced. He couldn't keep fighting like this. They needed to get Soraya and Lyra far from the colony. If the enemy truly wanted the children, staying here was suicide. He turned to Soraya. "We're getting you out." "Not to the shelters, off this rock entirely." Soraya nodded slowly. "Then you must go to the rift," she said. Raynor frowned. "The rift? That's restricted space. No one comes back from there." Soraya's voice was low but firm. "It's where Kate is. And if you want to live, you will go there." Outside the hangar, the machines advanced in silence. Inside, the colony's defenders prepared for one last stand on this floor. And in the middle of it all, Raynor realized the real war hadn't even begun yet. The race to find Cade, the colony, was dying. Raynor could feel it in the way the ground trembled under his boots, in the way the air smelled faintly of burnt metal, and in the way the voices over comms had changed, no longer calm orders, only desperate shouts. The hangar's blast doors were half shut, sparks flying from the damaged motors. Enemy machines were still cutting through the walls on the far side. There was no more time to fight. It was escape or death. Raynor pushed Soraya and Lyra toward the shuttle bay. Two guards stayed close, rifles aimed at every shadow. The women moved quickly, though Soraya's steps were heavy with the weight she carried, not just her unborn child, but something deeper. Something Raynor could feel but not name. They reached the small transport ship, the Falcon's Run. It wasn't built for battle, but it was fast. The pilot, Ensign Halle, had already powered the engines. "We're running hot, Captain. Get in now." Halle shouted over the roar as they climbed aboard. A fresh blast ripped through the hangar wall. 3 machines stepped through, their red eyes locking instantly on Soraya and Lyra. Raynor didn't think. He fired a short burst, hitting one in the head and making it crumple to the floor. The others advanced, claws scraping the deck. "Go! Go! Go!" Raynor barked, slamming the hatch controls. The Falcon's Run shot out of the hangar just as the blast doors failed behind them. For a brief moment, Vega Prime's desert spread out below. Golden sands under twin suns. A picture of peace that no longer existed. Then they were in the black of space. Halle pulled hard on the controls. The ship dove through the colony's defensive perimeter, weaving between bursts of enemy fire. Raynor gripped the co-pilot's seat, scanning the sensors. "Where's the main enemy ship?" Hale's voice was tight. "Right behind us." The display lit up with red markers. A swarm of smaller crafts had detached from the massive enemy vessel and were giving chase. They were faster than human fighters, and they were gaining. Soraya stepped forward, one hand on the seat for balance. "Head for the rift," she said calmly. Raynor turned. "You're sure that's where Kate is?" Her silver eyes met his. "Yes, and the machines will not follow us inside." That caught Hale's attention. Not follow us? Or not survive it? Soraya didn't answer, and that was enough to make everyone uneasy. The rift was a region of space avoided by every sane pilot. It was a graveyard of broken ships, torn apart by storms of raw energy. Some said time itself bent there, others said it was cursed. Raynor didn't believe in curses, but he did believe in survival. "Set a course," he ordered. Halle nodded, hands flying over the controls. The Falcon's Run swung sharply and burned for the rift, engines screaming. Behind them, the enemy swarm split into 2 groups. half gave chase, half hung back as if waiting. Raynor noticed it. "They're letting some of us go," he muttered. Lyra, who had been silent, finally spoke. "They want to see if we can find him. If we do, they'll be waiting." The hours to the rift felt longer than they were. Space was silent, but inside the ship, the air was heavy with the sound of breathing. Soraya sat still, eyes closed, as if speaking to someone far away. Lyra stared out the viewport, watching the enemy dots on the scanner that refused to disappear. Then the rift came into view. It wasn't a place so much as a wound in space, a swirling storm of black, blue, and violet, lit from within by violent flashes of white light. It twisted like a living thing, and ship's wrecks floated at its edge like bones around the mouth of a beast. Halle swallowed hard. "Once we're in, there's no turning back." Raynor glanced at Soraya. She simply nodded. "Cade is waiting," she said. The Falcon's Run dove toward the rift. The sensors screamed warnings, hull stress, gravitational anomalies, magnetic surges. Every warning light flashed red. Behind them, the enemy swarm slowed, keeping their distance. Just as Soraya had said, they would not follow. The ship crossed the threshold. The stars outside twisted and bent. Raynor felt the pressure in his skull, like someone whispering in a language he almost understood. Lyra grabbed the armrest, eyes wide. "Do you hear it?" she whispered. Raynor didn't answer. He wasn't sure if what he heard was real. The rift swallowed them whole, and in that strange, shifting light, a new signal appeared on the scanner. Human, faint, but alive. Raynor leaned forward. "That's him," he said. Soraya's lips curved into the smallest smile. "Cade," she breathed. But even as hope sparked in the cabin, something else moved in the rift. A shadow larger than any ship Raynor had ever seen. It was waiting between them. And the signal, and it was moving to intercept. Asterisk, the rescue and the betrayal. The rift was not empty. It breathed, every few seconds. The colors shifted like slow lightning underwater. Purple to gold, gold to black, black to blinding white. Inside the Falcon's Run, the hum of the engines was mixed with another sound, a low, almost human whisper that seemed to come from the walls. No one spoke of it, but everyone heard it. The signal from Cade's transponder grew stronger. Halle guided the ship carefully between drifting wrecks. Some were human designs from decades ago, rusted and broken. Others were alien shapes, twisted, organic, their hulls overgrown with strange crystalline growths. Then they saw it, a massive prison ship, floating like a chained beast in the rift's current. Its hull was scorched, parts of it glowing faint red from damage, but it still lived. Large chains of light, not metal, but pure energy, anchored it to a swirling pillar of storm. Raynor scanned the ship. "Human life signs 1. No 2, he said. Soraya's eyes narrowed. 2? She whispered. Lyra turned sharply. "Who's the other?" Halle brought the Falcon's Run close to a docking port. The hatch opened with a hiss, and Raynor's team moved in first. The inside was dark, the air thick with a faint chemical bite. Lights flickered along the corridor, casting long shadows that moved even when no one walked. They found him in the central cell. Cade, alive, but barely. He sat against the wall, wrists bound by glowing cuffs, his once sharp face gaunt, his dark hair streaked with silver that hadn't been there 2 years ago. When he saw Raynor, a weak grin tugged at his lips. "Took you long enough," he rasped. Soraya stepped into the cell, and for a moment, something unspoken passed between them. It wasn't joy, it was heavier, like two people who had both survived too much. Lyra moved in next, her voice breaking. "We came for you." Cade's eyes softened for her, but his hand stayed still in the cuffs. Raynor knelt, cutting the binds with a portable torch. The cuffs released with a hiss. Cade rubbed his wrists, then stood slowly, his balance unsteady. "You shouldn't have come here," he said, his voice low. "The machines. They already know." Before Raynor could ask, the ship groaned deep and long, like something enormous shifting. The lights above flickered out, replaced by a pulsing red glow. From the far end of the corridor, footsteps echoed, not metal. Footsteps. These were softer, slower, deliberate. A figure emerged. Another prisoner, a tall man in tattered robes. His eyes glowing faint blue. Saraya froze, her lips parting in shock. No. It can't be, she breathed. The man looked at her, then at Lyra, then at Cade, and he smiled. So, the family is together at last, he said, voice smooth but cold. Raynor stepped forward. Who are you? The man tilted his head. The one who kept Cade alive long enough for you to find him. His gaze shifted to Saraya. And the one you promised something to. The air in the corridor seemed to tighten. Lyra turned to her mother. What promise? Saraya's shoulders stiffened. I did what I had to keep you alive. Cade's voice hardened. You made a deal with them? Saraya's eyes didn't waver. I made a deal with him. The machines wanted you dead. He wanted the children alive. Raynor felt the betrayal settle like ice in the room. And what does he get in return? He asked. The man's smile widened. When they are born, they will belong to me. Lyra's voice broke into a shout. No. She stepped in front of her mother, her eyes burning with fury. But Saraya didn't move, didn't deny it. The ship shuddered violently, alarms wailing. Hale's voice came over the comm, urgent. Captain, we've got company, massive energy surge inbound, and it's not the rift. Cade grabbed Raynor's arm, pulling him toward the exit. Forget him. If we don't leave now, none of us will make it out. Raynor looked at Saraya, then at the strange man still standing calm in the red light. Every instinct told him this wasn't over. They ran back to the Falcon's Run, the deck shaking under their feet as the hatch closed. Raynor looked through the viewport. The prison ship was being pulled deeper into the rift. The strange man stood at the window, watching them go, his blue eyes glowing brighter. And though they were leaving, Raynor knew the deal Saraya made would follow them. The final stand. The rift spat the Falcon's Run back into open space. The sudden silence was almost painful after the storm's endless whisper. For a moment, it seemed they had escaped. The stars glittered, cold and still. But then the sensors screamed. Hale's voice broke the calm. Multiple contacts. They're here. Red dots bloomed across the scanner, too many to count. The machines had been waiting. Dozens of black, insect-like ships formed a wall ahead. Behind them, the massive flagship hung like a shadow eating the light. Raynor strapped in. We can't outrun that, he said. Cade was already moving toward the weapons console. Then we don't run, he said, his voice steady but his eyes fierce. Saraya sat in the rear seat, hands resting on her stomach. Her silver eyes were calm in a way that made Raynor uneasy. Lyra paced beside her, glancing between the viewport and her mother. You're too calm for this, she said sharply. Saraya looked up. I've seen this fight before. It never ends clean. The first wave hit, enemy fighters darted in, claws cutting through space. Hale jerked the ship hard to the right. Blue plasma bolts lit up the darkness. Raynor fired back, hitting 1-2. The machines exploded into shards of burning metal, but more came. The cum crackled. A cold, grinding voice filled the cabin. Surrender the heirs, and your deaths will be swift. Raynor cut the channel. Not happening. The enemy flagship began to charge a weapon. A sphere of crimson energy gathering at its core. Cade's fingers danced across the controls. I can overload their targeting systems. But I need time. Raynor fired another burst. Time's the one thing we don't have. A sudden flash lit the viewport. The colony fleet, what was left of it, dropping out of FTL. 5 ships, battered and smoking, but still alive. They opened fire immediately, drawing some of the machines away from the Falcon's Run. Overcomes. The fleet commander's voice came through. Raynor, get your people clear. We'll hold them. Raynor gritted his teeth. He knew holding meant dying, but without them, he'd never reach Cade's target. The enemy flagship's weapon flared brighter. Cade shouted, "Now or never, Raynor. Push me close enough and I can send the overload." Hale threw the ship forward, weaving through burning wrecks and enemy fire. Every second felt longer than the last. Inside the cabin, Lyra gripped Saraya's hand. Her voice shook. "If we don't make it." Saraya squeezed her fingers. "We will," she said. But her eyes told a different truth. The Falcon's Run dived into the flagship's lower hull. Cade slammed the final sequence into the console. "It's done. Now get us." A shockwave hit. The overload triggered. The flagship's weapon core imploded, tearing through its hull. Shards of burning metal spun into the void. The remaining enemy ships faltered, their formation breaking, but the victory was brief. The strange man from the prison ship's voice whispered through the cum, "You've delayed them, but you've not stopped them. The heirs will be mine." Raynor's blood ran cold. He looked at Saraya. She didn't deny it. The colony fleet signaled retreat. The Falcon's Run turned away from the wreckage, engines burning bright behind them. The machines gathered their wounded swarm. Ahead lay deep space and no safe harbor. Raynor sat back, the adrenaline fading. Cade leaned against the console, breathing hard. Lyra stayed close to her mother, but her eyes stayed on Raynor. "This isn't over, is it?" she asked. Raynor shook his head. "No. This was just the first round." The stars stretched as they jumped to FTL. In the silence that followed, Saraya whispered something only she could hear. A promise, a warning. And far away, in the dark, something was listening.